So we were supposed to start from 23. Before we start the class, let us take the blessings of the beautiful deities of Sri Sri Radha Govinda Ji. Sri Sri Radha Govinda Ji ki Jai. Okay. So 18.23. So for almost all of them, shlokas are not there. So we'll just directly read the translations and then we'll try to understand. 18.23. So now last class we saw three kinds of knowledge based on the different modes of nature, and today we'll see the three kinds of actions, okay, in the different modes. As for actions, that action in accordance with duty which is performed without attachment and without love or hate by one who has renounced fruitive results is called action in the mode of goodness. Okay, so in the mode of goodness means they work only just for working, and they do the work without any expectation of results. They don't get attached to the results. Okay, they just give their full focus on the work or action, but they don't they leave the results to the Lord. Okay, so I mean, like, they're not bothered when they do any kind of work. They are not bothered about the result, whether it is a success or a failure. And if it is success, they don't jump in the air, and if it is a failure, they don't get depressed. Throughout, whether it is success or failure, they maintain their enthusiasm. Okay, so they are enthusiastic. Even if it is failure, they're enthusiastic. They're not sad or something like that. Okay, they maintain their enthusiasm throughout. Okay, and they're not attached. They don't, that's what, they don't depend on the results. Okay, so such people are said to be in the action in the mode of goodness. So now let's see mode of passion. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and which is enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. So we know people who are in the mode of passion, they have a lot of desires. Okay, they're very passionate. Okay, so they want to satisfy their senses. Okay, because they have so many desires, they want everything for themselves. They want to satisfy their senses. They don't want to satisfy the senses of the Lord. Okay, and because they think everything, this is the, I mean, like, everything, they are out of false ego. They think that this is, I mean, like, the body is everything. They don't understand the concept of soul. They don't think that, they think that the body is themselves. They don't understand that they are the soul. So they do everything for this body. So they get attached to their body, their family members, their society. Okay, so because of which he desires to satisfy his senses. Such action is called in the mode of passion. And now in the mode of ignorance, and that action performed in ignorance and delusion without consideration of future bondage or consequences, which inflicts injury and is impractical and is said to be in the action of mode of ignorance. Okay, so the action that they do is totally against the scriptures. See, if you see in the mode of goodness, they do their duty per the injunctions of the Vedas. Okay, they follow the scriptures. But in the mode of ignorance, they totally ignore. They consider the Vedas or the scriptures as written by some man. Okay, they consider Vedas as some rishi, that's all, not some great personality who is an incarnation of the Lord. So they don't follow the scriptures. Whatever comes to their mind, they do, and they think that is right. Okay, that causes it inflicts injury not only to themselves but to others also. Okay, let's just see in detail. See here. So what Prabhupada says is, see, work performed in illusion means acting without understanding what is wrong. One second. Okay. Okay. Means acting without understanding what is right or wrong as directed by the scripture. Okay, so the act, I mean, they don't act for the scriptures, because they don't believe in the scriptures. They don't know what is right or wrong. Okay, in disregard of scriptural injunction means ignoring Krishna's instructions and acting according to one's own speculative knowledge. So they think they're very intelligent, and they don't, they ignore the scriptural injunction, which means when you're ignoring the scriptures, it means you're ignoring Krishna's instructions and you're acting according to your own whatever comes to your mind. Okay, that is speculative knowledge. He thinks whatever he does is right without concern for future bondage or violence to others. What does this mean? Means the person doesn't think of karma. Okay, he's not bothered, like, or the suffering caused by his acts. So he's least bothered. He thinks he's intelligent and what he's doing is correct. Okay, so he's not bothered about whether he will suffer or what is the consequence of that. Okay, when someone acts based only on his judgment or personal experience, thinking I know what's best, so that confidence is illusory. So he's in Maya. So he thinks he knows everything. So he rejects Krishna's instructions by rejecting the scriptural injunctions. Okay, he mistakes ignorance for knowledge. So he thinks his knowledge is the best. He knows everything. So that he's actually in ignorance. He thinks whatever, because whatever he does, like they say, na, the living entity has four defects. Okay, so he can never be perfect. So he should always act in according to the scriptural injunctions. So he is in ignorance. So because of this ignorance, he thinks he has the perfect knowledge, but he doesn't have. Okay, so that is what Prabhupada calls moha. So thus, irresponsible, blind, and unregulated work done out of delusion is tamasika. So work in the mode of ignorance. Okay. Okay, so this is the thing. So now next three kind of workers based on the modes of material nature. Now the workers. So the worker, 26, they are saying the worker who is free from all material attachments and false ego, who is enthusiastic and resolute, and who is indifferent to success or failure, is a worker in the mode of goodness. So the same, it's almost the same thing. Okay, the action or worker both is the same, almost the same. So the worker who is free from all material attachments. So he does work without any expectation. He does it as a duty without any expectation and without any false ego. So he knows that he's the soul and he uses the body to, I mean, like he works as a duty, okay, without any expectation of results, whether success or failure. He takes it positively and he works with the same enthusiasm. This is in the mode of goodness. Now 27 is the mode of passion, worker in the mode of passion. But that worker who is attached to the fruits of his labor and who passionately wants to enjoy them, who is greedy, envious, and impure, and moved by happiness and distress, is a worker in the mode of passion. So these people, they work with a goal. They are, see, they do some work with the expectation of result. Okay, since we know that these people who are in the mode of passion are very passionate, they have a lot of desires. Okay, so whatever they do with expectation of something. Okay, they want to enjoy. Okay, they are very greedy. They're not satisfied with how much they earn. So that is why they have more desires. They want more, more, more. Okay, and they're envious, so they want to be on the top. So they always are in that competitive mode, like I want to get more by hook or by crook, by cheating or however. See, and by impure, yeah, they do all cheating, black market, whatever is required. If required, they can kill their enemies and do all those things. Okay, and they're moved by happiness, so they always want to be in that enjoying mode. Okay, and when happiness and distress, he gets, see, when there is a profit, he's like jumping in the air. And then when there's sadness, I mean, when there is loss, he's in distress. So he's like high and low. Unlike the first person in mode of goodness, he's enthusiastic throughout and he is not moved by profit or loss. But the passionate worker, he is like gets depressed when there is a loss. He thinks everything is mine is gone, and he's like depressed and all that. But when he gets a profit, he is like jumping in the air. Okay, so this is mode of passion. And now a worker in the mode of ignorance, he he works against the injunction of the scripture. If you see mode of goodness, they work, they do their duty in accordance with the scriptural injunction. Whatever the Vedas say, they follow and they do the work like for that. But in ignorance, the person he does work against the scriptures, injunction of the scriptures. So he's materialistic, obstinate, he's cheating. So he does he whatever work he does, he's actually very lazy. He doesn't want to do work. He's like procrastinating. He wants to postpone work. Okay, so he's lazy, he sleeps more than required, he's always morose, procrastinating, and he has this cheating mentality. Okay, he has no intention to work. He work which can be done in a day, he does it, prolongs it to many years, like that. Okay, so such people are workers in the mode of ignorance. Okay, now let's see the three kinds of intelligence based on the modes of material nature. So 18 or 30 we'll see. O son of Pritha, actually all this if you by reading itself you'll understand, but let's know the differences, okay? O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Okay, so why if you follow the scriptures, you know what should be done and what should not be done, and what is to be feared. See, you won't do things which are wrong. When you fear something, when you fear there is a higher personality, superior personality, so you don't do wrong things. So you know per the scriptures what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. You know what is binding per the scriptures. You see what is binding. See, when you do things for your own sense gratification, that is binding. And what is liberating? When you do things for the satisfaction of Krishna, that is liberating. So that understanding you get when you're in the mode of goodness. So that is the intelligence that you get when you're in the mode of goodness. You understand what is right, what is wrong. Okay, and because you have the knowledge of the you follow the injunction of the scriptures. Okay, so 31, and that understanding which cannot distinguish between the religious way of life and irreligious. So these people, those are in the mode of passion. Because their intelligence is like this. So they cannot distinguish between what is dharma and adharma. Okay, between action that should be done and action that should not be done. Okay, so that imperfect understanding is there. I mean, like they don't understand properly what is good, what is bad. For them, it is like they just want to enjoy. Okay, by hook or crook, am I getting my goal or not? Am I able to earn money or not? So they won't see whether it is dharma, I'm doing it in a dharmic way or what or adharmic way. It has to be done, I have to reach my goal. Okay, so that is the thing. So 18.32, that understanding, see, which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion. So this mode of ignorance is the last of all. I mean, like it's the you can ignore such people. So that, see, they consider what is dharma to be adharma, and what is adharma they consider it as dharma. Okay, because they are under spell of illusion. Okay, so they, because then Maya and darkness, ignorance, they understand everything the opposite way and the wrong way. Okay, and strive, they always go in the wrong direction because they don't follow the shastras, right? And they think on their own whims. They think whatever they do, they think they're intelligent and whatever they're doing is correct. But they don't know they are going in the wrong direction by not following the shastras. So such people are in the mode of ignorance. Their intelligence is the mode of ignorance. So next is the three kinds of determinations based on the modes of material nature. So, O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and thus controls the mind, life, and the acts of senses, is in the mode of goodness. So that determination is unbreakable. Why? Because they are fixed in Krishna consciousness. Okay, because steadfastness by yoga practice. So when you are in Krishna consciousness, your mind is steady. Okay, it is not jumping like a monkey. It is not unsteady. It is like it is steady. Okay, so because your mind is steady, it is able to think properly. Okay, your senses, your mind, everything is in control. Okay, such determination is said to be in the mode of goodness. Next, 18.34, and that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive result in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion. So these people, their determination is they are stuck to what um, what do you say this dharma artha kama. Okay, so they are so bent on this, they want dharma artha kama. Okay, that is what they are saying: religion, economic development, and kama means sense gratification. So they are so much bent on these three. Okay, so they are so determined by hook or by crook, I have to get my sense gratification. If I do this, I have to get this. Okay, they want all their desires to be fulfilled. So they are of the nature of passion. They're determined to get their things done. Okay, for which they'll work like a donkey or whatever is required. 18.35, and that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion. Such unintelligent determination is in the mode of darkness. See, and that determination for people who are in ignorance, beyond dreaming means they're always sleeping. They sleep for 10 to 12 hours. Okay? We are actually supposed to sleep for 6 hours, right? So they keep to sleeping beyond 10 to 12 hours. That is what is meant by beyond dreaming. Okay? They are fearfulness, they're always fearful, they're lamentation, that's why they take to drugs, and moroseness and illusion. They're always in illusion because they don't know, they don't read the shastras, they don't believe in shastras. So they're always in maya, they don't follow Krishna's instructions, because of which they think they are intelligent, they do whatever they want, but they don't know they're going in the wrong way. Okay, such is their determination. Okay. Now, the three kinds of happiness based on the modes of material nature. So we can determine like where we are actually based on these three modes. Okay, what kind of happiness we are getting, or what kind of determination, like what kind of work are we doing. All those we can just try to identify where do we belong to now. So three kinds of happiness. That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. See, now whatever sadhana we are doing, it may be difficult for us, right? But it's like poison for us now. Like, but after all, sadhana is like you have to get up in the morning, Brahma Muhurta, do your chanting, you have to attend Mangala Arati, and you have to do, perform all those morning rituals. Okay, and then on Ekadasi, you have to do the fasting, or when your Sampradaya Acharya's appearance and disappearances, you have to fast. Okay, so all this Janmashtami, you have to do full day fast, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day, Narsimha Deva appearance day, you have to fast till moonrise. So all these austerities we do now. Okay, so because it may be difficult for us now, but at the end, when you realize and you see God, all this effort you feel is worth it. In fact, you feel that you have done nothing. Okay, but now it may look like it is poison for us, but in the end, what you get is you can't imagine. You get so much of happiness when you see God face to face. Okay, but in 18 or 38, that happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first but poison at the end, is said to be in the nature of passion. This Sri Prabhupada explains in the purport, saying that when a man and a woman meet, like a couple, right? A wife and a husband, when they meet, initially, they get a lot of the, when they have their sex life, initially, the attachment is so much, that the person both feel like touching each other and coming together and they feel like doing all that, right? So initially it feels like it is they feel it's like nectar, but as time goes by, what happens? Because they come to know their real identities, everything, because of which there are quarrels, and finally they separate. They plan to take divorce or whatever. So it is like poison in the end. So initially it may seem like nectar, but at the end it is like poison. So such things are when you deal with sense objects. You are, people in the mode of passion, they're not worried about Krishna. They want their own sense gratification, right? So that is like it's not nectar in the beginning and poison in the end. So that is nature of passion. And 18.39, and that happiness which is blind to self-realization. So they're totally away from Krishna consciousness. They have no idea of the scriptures and they don't believe in all that, which is delusion from beginning to end. So initially also they are in ignorance, and in the end also they are in ignorance. Okay, that is why they take to all this intoxication. They don't know what they are doing. Okay, which arises why? Because they're lazy. They are always sleeping, laziness and in illusion, because they don't know shastras. What is correct, what is wrong, they don't know. So such people are said to be the happiness in the nature of ignorance. Okay, so they're always confused. They don't know what they're doing, but they think what they're doing is correct. Okay, so next 18.40. Natat asti prityam vyava divi deveshu va punaha sattvam prakriti jair muktam yad evihi syatribhir gunaihi. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from these three modes born of material nature. So finally, Krishna is concluding that nobody can escape the modes of material nature, even the demigods also. See, there is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems. See, none of us are free from these three modes. Okay, so he's concluding now here. Okay, so next section we'll see 41 to 48. Four kinds of ashramas based on the modes of material nature. Okay, so we'll see 18.42. Shamodamastapashaucham shantir ajavam evacha nanam vignanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. So here they're describing the qualities of a brahmana. See, brahma karma svabhava, the svabhava of a brahmana. What? Peacefulness, self control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are the qualities by which a Brahmanas work. Okay, so these are the qualities, okay, that a Brahmana needs. Okay, now 18.43. The shauryam. So we are understanding the qualities per the material modes. See, as a Brahmana, automatically he will get these qualities because when he is in the mode of goodness, he will have these qualities. Now we'll see the qualities that the Kshatriya has. So that's why we say when Kshatriya is in the mode of passion, he will have all these qualities. What are those qualities? Heroism, power, see, Shauryam Tejo Dhritirdakshyam Yuddhe cha api apalayanam Danam Ishvara Bhavascha Shatram Karma Svabhavajam. So Kshatriya Karma Svabhavajam. So qualities of a Kshatriya. What are they? Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the qualities of work for the Kshatriya. So these are the qualities of Kshatriya. So next we'll see 18.44 where we'll see qualities of Shudra and Vaishya. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam Paricharyatmakam Karma Shudrasyapi Swabhavajam. Okay. So Krishi Goraksha. Krishi means farming. Goraksha means cattle raising. Vanijam means business. So farming, cattle raising, cattle in the sense cow or whatever domestic animals they have, and business. Okay, are the business like food and all are the qualities of work for the Vaishyas. They do business, farming, and cattle raising. And Shudras is labor. They work for the remaining three classes. They do service to the other three classes. Okay. स्वे स्वे कर्माणि अभिरतः संसिद्धिं लभते नरः स्वकर्म निरातः सिद्धिं यथा विन्दति तत् शृणु. Okay, so now Krishna is telling what? Listen, see, by following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Okay, now please hear from me how this can be done. So, what is Krishna saying? By following their qualities, like per the Vedas, now in the Varnashrama, it is mentioned that if you do these duties, it is like you are satisfying the Lord. Okay, so that is what Krishna is saying. So, by following, like a Kshatriya, if he does what he is supposed to do per the Varnashrama, it is like he is satisfying the Lord. Brahmana, his duty is to preach. Okay, so if he does his duty as a preacher, he is preaching Krishna consciousness, he is satisfying the Lord. Okay, that is his final goal. So by following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Okay, they can reach the highest destination when they follow the rules and regulations given in the Vedas. What is given for Varnashrama, they are satisfying the Lord. Okay, now Krishna will tell. Now please hear from me how this can be done. Okay. यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वम् इदं ततं स्वकर्मणार्थम् अभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, man can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. See, now you can see in the picture, right? Krishna is in the middle, and on the uppermost left hand corner, you can see a Brahmana is preaching, he is doing his duty, he is preaching Krishna consciousness. And in right hand side, you see Kshatriya, his duty is dharma is to protect his people from adharma. That's what he's doing. He's fighting a battle against the other king to protect his people. And next, what Vaishya is doing, he's doing cattle raising. I mean, okay. And then fourth Shudra is like he's doing service to the other. So he's plowing the land for someone else. Okay. So that thing. So like that. But the goal is Krishna for all of them. Okay, all these particular, they are doing their particular duties to satisfy Krishna. Okay, so I just let me see if I've written. See, one should worship the Supreme Lord with his own work in life. Everyone should render service to the Lord in a particular type of work which he is fit. Okay, so whatever is his duty, that only he has to do per the Shastras. He should not do someone else's work. Whether he is perfect in that or not, he has to do the work that is designed for him per his mode. Like for a Brahmana, he has to work, he has to preach. Now, Brahmana cannot go to the war field and battlefield and fight like a Kshatriya, right? Not possible. So he should do his work, whether he likes it or not, because he's in the mode of goodness, he is designed to do that. Okay, like that. The Varnashrama institution is meant to help people satisfy the Supreme Lord. This system is so arranged that men will work to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras have their respective duties and they are meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Okay? When they do their respective duties, as mentioned in the Vedas or Shastras, that means they are satisfying the Supreme Lord. The Brahmanas, what do? They worship the Lord by the study of the Vedas. So, because the Lord is worshipped as Narayana, so by the Patana and Patana system. Okay. The Kshatriyas can also satisfy the Lord by protecting the citizens according to the rules and regulations given by the Lord, and Vaishyas by engaging in agriculture and trade and protection of cows. And Sudras can offer their service to the higher three classes, and by doing so, they can also satisfy the Supreme Lord. Okay. So if everybody it actually performs their duty per the Shastras, That is like satisfying the Supreme Lord. So everyone can engage himself in the service of the Lord, and thus everyone can attain the highest perfection. Okay. So this is the summary of the shloka. So when they are saying Yataha Pravritti Bhutanam, means the Lord is the origin of all living beings. He gives life to everyone. So he is the seed giving father, right? He is the origin of all living entities. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Okay, everything comes from him. Like the Lord is all pervading through his energies, internal and external energies. So internal in the spiritual world, external in the material world. Okay, so the material world is run by his external energy, and the spiritual world by his internal energy. Okay, internal means yogamaya, external means mahamaya. Okay, so swakarmana tam abhyarchya. Okay, one should worship Krishna by performing swakarmana. One should worship by performing his own duty, right? Not giving up work, but by dedicating it to Krishna. See, Krishna is saying, when Arjuna asked, right, Tyaga or Sannyasa, Krishna never encouraged Sannyasa. He said, don't totally give up work. That is not encourageable. Here also, that is what he's saying. You do your duty, okay, and then give the results to me. Okay, see, one should worship Krishna by performing his duty. So you do work. Okay, you do action. That is what Krishna is saying, not by giving up work. Okay, you do work and you reap the results to me and you give the results to me, but by dedicating it to him. Okay, not you don't enjoy the fruits of your work, you give it to me. Okay, dedicate it to me, then you will attain perfection. See, attaining perfection. When our daily work becomes an offering to God, it becomes spiritualized. So, this is the real perfection. So, what do we understand? Whatever your occupation, it's like Brahmana is teaching, Kshatriya is ruling, and Vaishya is farming or serving. Serving means Shudra. So, but if you do it to please Krishna, that is perfection. So you should do it for Krishna, not for your sense gratification. If you do it for Krishna, then that is perfection. So what is it saying? It teaches that perfection, Siddhi, is not by renouncing work. So never take sannyas, Krishna is saying. Not by sannyas. You do your work, but by offering it to Krishna. Okay, who is the source and the sustainer of all living beings. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मात्सु अनुष्ठितात् स्वभावनियतं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Prescribed duties, according to one's nature, are never affected by sinful reactions. Okay. So, what Krishna is trying to say is, it is better to do your own occupation. See, you do a particular occupation depending on the mode. See, now if you're a Brahmana, what is your mode? You're in the mode of goodness. So, in the mode of goodness, what you are very peaceful. So, your duty is to preach Krishna conscious to all the people. And what is the duty of a Kshatriya? He's very passionate. He's angry, passion, and all that. Quite opposite to that of a Brahmana. Okay, and his duty is to fight ferociously, heroically, like that he fights. Now, can a Kshatriya do the duty of a Brahmana, or can a Brahmana do the duty of a Kshatriya, even though he likes? Now, a Kshatriya may see, come to a Brahmana and say, oh, how nice, how peaceful he looks. How I wish I could become a Brahmana and sit like him and meditate. Is it possible for him? Initially it may work for a week or two, because he's so passionate, but because he's in the mode of passion, he's like always active, angry, ferocious, so he can never become a Brahmana. If someone comes to him, like if someone comes to a Brahmana, if he performs some crime, he comes to a Brahmana, he will forgive. But if the same person, he comes to the Kshatriya, he will punish him immediately, right? So there's a lot of difference. You may think that, oh, being a Brahmana, the Kshatriya may think being a Brahmana is so nice, so peaceful. He is so, yes, he has nothing to do. He looks so peaceful, so nice. I will not be a king. I will change from Kshatriya to Brahmana. I'll become, but he can never become one. Okay, so that is why Krishna is saying, even though you may like somebody else's occupation, even though you suppose the Kshatriya likes to become a Brahmana, you can never become one like that. So it is better you do your duty only, even though imperfect, you don't like it or you're not expert, you do your duty only. Because apart that mode, you're designed to do that job only. You cannot do someone else's job. In the long run, that will not be possible for you. Okay, so that is why Krishna is saying it is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. So, prescribed duties according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Okay, so prescribed one's nature, and okay, so let's see 47. See, a person should not imitate another's duty. For example, a Brahmana who is naturally inclined to study and teach should not give up his occupation and become a Kshatriya, even though he may be very expert in fighting. Okay, like that. Now, similarly, a Kshatriya should not give up his own occupation and try to perform the duties of a Brahmana. So, one's own duty, though performed imperfectly, is better than another's duty perfectly done. Okay, if one performs his prescribed duties for Krishna, even though he does it imperfectly, that is better than giving up his own work and trying to perform another's work. So even Krishna, so that's what Krishna is saying. Okay, you may do your duty imperfectly, but that's okay. Okay, but don't jump to some other's profession and take that. That will not suit you also. Okay, so Krishna is saying if one performs his prescribed duties for Krishna, even though he does it imperfectly, Krishna is saying that is better than giving up his own work and taking someone else's work. So even if you are working imperfectly, that is okay, but you don't jump up and take some other's profession and start, and even though you are perfect in that. Okay, the duties prescribed for the varnas and ashramas are meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you are given per your varna and ashrama, you are in a certain mode. So for that mode and varna ashrama, your some duties are designed. So those duties only you have to follow. Don't jump, don't go against the Vedas and you do some other because you like some other profession, and maybe you may be proficient also in that, maybe. So it is not per the Shastras, Vedas. So you should do what is pleasing to Krishna. Okay, if you do your duty per the Vedas, then you are satisfying Krishna. Okay, so in doing so, there can be no sin. For example, a Kshatriya may have to fight a battle. Now, we may think that, oh, Kshatriya is killing so many people, so much sin will come. But listen what they are saying. See, although the fighting may involve violence, if the Kshatriya fights for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord, see, you should fight for Krishna, then he is not affected by sinful actions. See, in the Kurukshetra war also, Arjuna, he fought the war because he was not at all interested actually. He was afraid of sinful reactions. If I kill so much, what happens? I'll get so much sin, I'll get. But in the end, why did Arjuna fight? Because Krishna asked him to fight. So if we fight on behalf of Krishna or do anything on behalf of Krishna, we will not get any sinful reaction. Okay, because Krishna is asking Arjuna to do, he did it. Okay, like that. So even if a Brahmana is performing his duties very nicely, he sometimes has to perform animal sacrifices. Now you may think that, oh, Brahmana is killing an animal, so sinful. No, it is part of his duty. Okay, it does not mean if he's killing an animal, he's committing sin. Why? See, when he is sacrificing that animal immediately gets a human form without going through that evolutionary cycle. Immediately it gets that human form. So that is why the sacrifice of that animal is done. So it is not like committing sin, right? Similarly, a kshatriya who fights and kills is not liable to be affected by sinful reactions. So when all of this is done for Krishna, there will be no sinful reactions. Okay. So when one acts in his prescribed duty for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, all the reactions, good or bad, are neutralized. See, you do any act for Krishna, you are under akama. Okay, you have no reaction, no good or bad reaction. So everything becomes neutralized. See, if you want to go back to Krishna, you should neither have pious karma or bad karma. Both should be nullified. If that is zero only, you can go back to Krishna. See, if you have a good karma, then you will go to heavenly planets. If you have bad karma, you'll go to hellish planets. Then finally, after hellish or bad karma is over, again you have to come back to earthly planet. Your pious credit is over, again you have to come back to the earthly planet again. Only if you are akama, you have no karma, you will go back to God. Okay. So, when one performs his duty according to his qualities, he does not incur any sin. Okay, when we do follow the Shastras, per the Shastras, if we do our duties, we will not incur sin. In fact, we are satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, what is the conclusion? Is that everybody should be engaged, see, according to the particular mode of nature, he has to do his duty. For that guna, he has to do his duty. Okay, he should decide to work only, and that work also should be done per the shastras. When you do per the shastras, you are pleasing the Supreme Lord. It has to be any work that you do, it is, we have to do it to please the Supreme Lord. Okay. See, like here in this picture, you see, right? Each animal has a special quality actually. So, but here the judge, what is he saying? Different types of animals are there now. Now he's saying that first to climb the tree wins. Now the monkey, it can easily do that activity. That's why it is happy. Now the elephant is wondering, oh, how is it possible? How can I? How can I climb a tree? The penguin is also thinking, how can I climb a tree? And the fish in water is also thinking, how? Right. So each can actually, if you see, each has a specific quality, right? So a penguin can actually stay withstand cold, winters, snow, and everything, which no other animal can. Now the elephant can do what do you say? It can lift mighty logs, heavy items. It can bring, which no other animal can do. Okay, and fish, it can stay completely in water, which no animal can do constantly. So like that, each animal actually has to do per their duty. But if the elephant tries to climb a tree, or if the monkey tries to, I mean, it cannot lift like an elephant. So each that per their duty, they have to do their duty. Then it is satisfying. Okay, one should not think that what if the monkey thinks, if I become an elephant, I want to be like an elephant and lift. So that is not possible, right? So we should just do per our duties, whatever our duty we are designed to per the mode. We have to do that what is mentioned in the shastras. By doing that, we are pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we won't get any sinful reactions also. Okay, 48. सहजं कर्म कौन्तेय सदोषम् अपि न त्यजेत् सर्वारम्भा हि दोषेण धूमेनाग्निरिवार्ताः. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. So we saw, right? Even though we may not like whatever work we are doing, even if we are not an expert and we think that, oh, I'm so expert, I want to do this person's work. He's working in such a nice company, such less time he works and he gets so much money, while I work throughout the day, I get only so much money. I want to go and do his work, but we cannot. Initially we think we can. Okay, we may so passionate that we want to go and work with him, but if when you go and work, hardly for a week or a 2 or 3 you may work, but later, because that is not your mode, your mode is something else. You maybe are in a mode of goodness, and that work requires mode of passion. So because your modes are not tallying for that work, you tend to give up. In the long run, you will find it difficult. You will not be able to do. Then you think, oh, it is better I do that only. My work is only better. It is comfortable, and then you finally come back to that because you are designed for that mode. Okay, let's see what. See. Okay, in conditioned life, all work is contaminated by the material modes of nature. See, work is done depending on the modes of nature. You have no option, you can't escape the modes. Okay, so even if one is a Brahmana, he has to perform sacrifices in which animal killing is necessary. So even though he is a Brahmana, he has to perform that sacrifice. Killing is necessary. He should not say, I will not kill. Okay. For that sacrifice, he has to do. It is necessary. Similarly, a Kshatriya, even though however pious he may be, he may have all the good, that king may be like, he may be called, what is that? Mm, Saintly king we call, right? Maharshi. Okay. He may be a Raja Rishi, sorry. Raja Rishi, a king with saintly qualities, but still he has to fight his enemies. Okay, so he cannot avoid it. Okay, similarly, a merchant, however pious he may be, so sometimes he may be a good merchant, really, but because he is a businessman, he sometimes hides his profit to stay in business, or he may sometimes have to do business on the black market. Okay, so these things are necessary, so we cannot avoid them. So similarly, even though a man is is a Sudra serving um, is a Sudra serving a bad master, he has to carry out the order of the master. He should not say, because he's bad master, I will not work for him or something like that. As a Sudra, even though bad or good, it's his duty to serve his master. So he should do it. Okay. So despite these flaws, one should continue to carry out his prescribed duties. Okay, whatever be the problem, but still you should continue your duties. That is what Krishna is trying to say. Okay, because for they are born out of his own nature, because that is the nature you are born in. Say Brahmana is born in the mode of goodness, so he has to continue that work. Okay, though there may be some flaws, like he has to do sacrifice of animals, but still because he's in the mode of goodness, he has to do the duty of doing patan patan yajan yajan, like preaching and all that. Sometimes killing during sacrifice yajna is required. Okay, so but we have to work per our mode, right? So here, Prabhupada gives a very nice example. Although fire is pure, okay, because yagnas we use fire, right? But still there is smoke comes when fire, when you ignite, you see that black smoke comes, right? Yet smoke does not make the fire impure, right? So even though there is smoke in the fire is still considered to be the purest of all elements, right? That is why we perform yagna with fire, because it is purifying. So, if one prefers to give up the work of a Kshatriya and take up the occupation of a Brahmana, he is not assured that in the occupation of a Brahmana there are no unpleasant duties. See, finally, see, if now a Kshatriya tries to become a Brahmana, it is not possible. He may stay peaceful for a few days like a Brahmana, but because his mode is in the mode of passion, one or the other time his anger will burst out. He cannot remain like a Brahmana peaceful, right? He will come out. So finally he will understand, I cannot be a Brahmana. Like I'm getting angry, but the Brahmana, he never gets angry. This is so uncomfortable for me, and he will finally go. He said, for me better fighting only is better. That is only better, and he'll go away. Okay, and Brahmana, like if he wants to, if he wants to be like a king, like if somebody does some bad thing, and they bring him to the to punish to the Brahmana. Now he wants to become. Suppose you understand that the Brahmana has now become the king. Now, because he's in the mode of goodness, like unlike the king, though he is the king now, he's become the king. Because he's in the mode of goodness, what he will do? He will forgive him. because of his good qualities, because in the mode of goodness, he will give him a warning and he will say, don't do this again, and he will go. But what if the real Kshatriya was there? He would give him the desired punishment. He would have the head cut off, or he would have him put him in jail, or give some imprisonment, whatever he would have done. Right? So that is not possible. So that is why we have to do our job per our modes. Okay. So, similarly, one should not give up his natural occupation because there are some disturbing elements. Rather, one should be determined to serve the Supreme Lord by performing his occupational duty in Krishna consciousness. The basic thing is you should do whatever work to please Krishna in Krishna consciousness. So, that is the perfectional point. So, when a particular type of occupation is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, all the defects in that particular occupation are purified. So, whatever you are doing, see now, a Brahmana is doing sacrifice, killing. So, even he gets purified because he's doing it for Krishna. So, when you perform a yajna, who's the bhokta? It's Krishna or Vishnu, right? So, all that gets purified. So, when you connect it with devotional service, so one becomes perfect in seeing the self within, and that is self realization. Okay. Okay, this will take from tomorrow. Okay, for today, I will stop here.